My name is Tracey Bence and I'm a certified occupational hygienist. What is an occupational hygienist? It's someone who communicates about exposures, communicates whether those exposures are there and whether they're acceptable or not. Workplace exposure standards are going to be renamed workplace exposure limits. So the workplace exposure standards that we have now, they're numerical values that were derived quite a long time ago from science, some even science going back to the 50s and 60s. The new workplace exposure limits need now to be focused on the health effects based on the most modern science and anticipating what we need to do to protect workers up to that limit. In WA workplaces, we more commonly hear about the respiratory hazards associated with dust. We have a naturally arid climate and we have a lot of remote and fly-in, fly-out workers to places where dust is produced or dust is part of the environment. So the main ones that we consider are asbestos, silica and diesel exhaust. The estimates for the WA workplaces that have that exposure scenario involving crystalline silica is not precise, but it's such a common material. Crystalline silica as quartz is in a whole raft of natural and man-made materials that are essentially rock. So that would tell you that it's a commonplace scenario. Not all of those are at risk of developing silica-related disease, but certainly the exposures there are quite prevalent. As an occupational hygienist, I'm very grateful that this issue of exposure to respirable crystalline silica, exposure to diesel particulate matter, exposure to weld fume has reached the public attention. And I think it's commendable to Safe Work Australia, WorkSafe WA, that they're getting behind that and making these hazards that are otherwise quietly spoken of and almost invisible, they're making them well known so that people can protect themselves. With regards to silica, the exposure control that you want is the one that's going to last. So something like a fully enclosed cabin that separates me as a driver of equipment from the atmosphere that has silica in it or the atmosphere that has diesel particulate in it. That's a robust control. Another robust control is extraction. Extraction exhaust systems, ventilation systems which dilute the air, and filtration systems which take the particles out of the air before I have the opportunity to breathe them. I do have long-term aspirations for the workers of Western Australia and Australia. I hope that the work that we are doing now to set the right limits will actually be protective enough for future generations. These limits last decades and we have to make them protective enough for this generation of workers and the way it gets done and the upcoming generations. I guess the other thing as an occupational hygienist that I aspire for is the day we don't have to think about what is the limit, that we actually have workplaces designed and they're healthy by design. So that's good indoor air quality, good outdoor air quality, good air quality underground and good air quality in workplaces that are outside.